and like it was clearly a fake fro, and then his fro fell off and hit the ground, and I stopped the music, and I was like, that was fake this whole time?
Oh, no. Hello and welcome to Beyond Me, the show where mechanical engineering students go beyond ME, and where the things we talk about are beyond us. We like thinking broader, we like thinking deeper. I'm Ben Jacobson, here with my co-hosts Finian Richardson.
Hey, how's it going?
And Liam Bennett.
Hey, what's up? Today was a lot of fun. We talked with Colin Hodgkin about dueling pianos, filming and acting, and all the projects he's involved in.
Make sure to like and follow and share with your friends and family. Let's get into it.
All right, Colin, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I like that little piano.
Thank you. Actually, one of my good friends actually made that for us. In episode 3, he talks all about it. But yeah,
I'll
Wesley
have to
did
go
a
listen
great
to that.
job.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Colin, what do you do? Who are you? Just give us a little background.
Heck yeah. My name is Colin Hodgkin. I live in New York City, but I'm initially from Michigan. I'm a performer of many different types. Most notably currently is I do dueling pianos, and I travel all over playing dueling pianos, and which I can explain what that is if people don't know what that concept is, because I think some people are very familiar with it and some people have no idea what that is. And then I'm also an actor and a filmmaker, and so a lot of different things and stuff in the arts going on with me. But yeah, right now I do Dueling Pianos, which is a show that's mostly all requests, and people can request rock and pop music, and there's 2 people sitting behind 2 pianos, and I think people sometimes can assume that it's dueling in the fact that we're fighting each other, but actually it just means like duel as in like 2.
Okay.
Got it.
I assumed it was a competition.
Why not like duetting
okay.
pianos? Not
People
as
like
cool,
to
I
ask.
guess.
They're like, when do you guys fight? When do you guys when do you guys start like going at it? It's like, oh no, we like work together. It's okay.
So
But,
the audience requests songs, and you guys you play them together.
Yeah,
Is that or
there's
genres? Yeah, I guess.
all different genres. I think there's like a pretty common list, like the Don't Stop Believing and the
Right.
Yeah.
Sweet Carolines, but I
Right.
think the more you do this job, the more songs you learn, and so we just kind of go until people will just throw request after request at us, and it's a lot of fun.
So you have to know a lot of music to be able to do that. Like, I'd imagine that's a little intense. You're up there, and people maybe ask you a song you haven't played before. Do you just kind of figure it out, or say you don't know it? Like, how does that work?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Yeah, like I remember the first time I ever did a request show, I was terrified. I was like, what if I don't know a song? And the person that I was sitting with, they were like, then don't play it. If you don't know how to do that one, don't do it. But I've been doing dueling pianos now for like 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And so now it gets to a point where it's like, Last Friday Night by Katy Perry. I've never done it, but I feel like I could do it. And
You just figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh, actually?
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
Sometimes we'll do that. Yeah.
How many songs do you think you know? Like, if you could give a ballpark estimate.
I feel like it's over 1,000 now. I feel like
That's ridiculous.
and then there's more that like sometimes it'll just be like, oh, whoa, that's a crazy song. I kind of know that one, and then like add it to the list. But I feel like it's over 1,000 at this point.
Wow.
So, like, preparing for it, do you like ahead of time just like listen to the songs? Do you look through sheet music? Is it just like the chords that you look at? Like, what's your process for getting ready for these shows?
Yeah, I'm mostly looking at chords. There are some people that do sheet music. I don't read sheet music very well. Even though I'm like good at piano, I don't read very well. But when people start doing this specific gig, I feel like people go, hey, here's a list of 100 songs that are the most requested, and this is like a good benchmark, which I mean, I think that's with like any job you're learning, but they're like, this is like the fundamentals. Like these are the ones that get requested all the time. It's Brown Eyed Girl. It's old time rock and roll. It's yeah, I mean like a lot of Queen, a lot of Journey, a lot of rock, a lot of Billy Joel,
Right.
Piano Man for sure.
Yeah, so I actually met Colin at a Dueling Piano show at our university at RIT, and before him and Jackie, who was the other person playing with him, before they came, I thought it was just like Dueling Pianos was two people, and then I learned that it's like a whole network, it's like a whole company, and they hire like a ton of different performers. How does that work?
Yeah, it's funny. It is a community. There's like there's a Dueling Pianos Facebook page where like a lot of duelers from, I think we call each other duelers, which I think is such a funny. It's like, yeah, I'm a dueler, and they're like, oh, what is that? I'm like, oh, like pianos, and but yeah, there's like this like network of community, and there's like it's just popular enough now that a lot of bars want to do it. A lot of restaurants want to do it. A lot of people want it for their corporate parties. They want it for their birthday parties. And so like there is like this pool of people, but it's a pretty small niche group of people that do this specific job. There's a lot of people that do. I mean, anytime you go to a restaurant or a bar or a show and there's live entertainment, like there's a lot of people that do that, and equally merited and so fun. But it's a different thing. It's a different muscle to like pull songs out of your butt. So it's a funny thing that there's these like, now there's like Dueling Pianos companies. There's a few that are based in the New York area that do bars or private parties or stuff like that, and so it's lucrative.
So do you guys mostly just do shows in New York and around New York City, or do you go out? Do you spread out more? Or?
Yeah, the company specifically that I work for is New York Dueling Pianos, but they have locations like everywhere. It's in Dallas, it's in the Carolinas, it's like Florida. So there's like a pocket of a few players in each place, but majority there's like quite a few in like the tri-state area, like for the most part. Yeah.
And so they just are like, hey, we got a gig. Who can fulfill it? Like they have like a roster, I guess, and they
Yeah. I mean, it was funny because I was like, oh, I'm like a little light on work this month. I'm like, I don't have a lot of gigs. And so, but then I get an email yesterday. They're like, hey, you free March 1st on a Saturday to do a gig? And they're like, this one's in Manhattan. And I'm like, great. Or they're like, this one's up in Rochester. And I'm like, great. And they're like, it's like, as long as I'm free for it, it's kind of like, I would equate it to like a contractor where it's like, it's up to you as to like make yourself as busy as you want to be doing this job.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean.
So you can just fill your schedule with those. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty
exactly.
nice.
What's like the farthest that you've traveled for Dueling Piano?
Well, I worked on a cruise ship.
Okay.
Doing the Dueling Pianos, which is I'm actually supposed to have a phone call later today. I haven't been on a cruise ship in like a year or two, but they've asked if I would do like a week or two. They need somebody to fill in on one of the ships that they staff with Dueling Pianos. So I might be getting on a cruise ship on Saturday. So
That's pretty fun. Yeah.
And so that's got to be like a bunch of shows for the same people, right? Or like. Like if you're on a
one
cruise
show,
ship,
so that's a little different exactly. Whereas like what we did in when we came to RT was like one time thing. We're there, we build our stuff and we pack it, but they've got like a whole lounge set up, and you basically are playing to the same people for like 7-10 days, maybe longer, because if they're on for a whole week, so they get to know you.
Yeah.
And
but you have enough of a music selection to, I guess, make it interesting to keep it.
And they loved all the same songs. I mean, really, like most of these people, they want 60s music. They're like, it's Elvis Presley, it's Roy Orbison, it's a lot of 60s stuff. But I don't remember what I was gonna say. But like that's kind of fun about having the same clientele for 7 days. In a day, if I don't know a song that you say, that you're like, hey, do you know this like Killer's song? And I'm like, I don't know it. But with people there, I'm like, okay, let me go learn it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And like, give me a day. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll play it for you tomorrow night.
And so since you don't like reading music, you're learning is you're just like listening to it and you're just like, I
Yeah.
think it goes like this. Yeah, that's
Do you have
that's
perfect
pretty cool.
pitch or?
I have what's called strong relative pitch, meaning that there are like certain notes that I can identify, but like somebody couldn't just go, well, that's probably a G. Yeah, it's a G.
That's so wrong.
But there's like a few notes that like I can identify, and so I can recognize when a song is in the right key or in the wrong key, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like I don't like when people start singing a note, I'm like, oh, that's a B flat. I don't know.
Right. But like you can hear the interval basically.
Yeah,
between-
yeah.
okay.
Interesting.
So if you were to like play a song and I was like pitch that up a half step, could you just do that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
My point of pride, this is something silly. So we have a transpose button on the pianos at the bar that I work at. So like if you know something in one key but you don't want to have, but I never learned how to use the transpose button. I would just do it myself. I would just
you
always.
are the transpose button.
Yeah, exactly.
But that would basically shift it.
Yeah.
Like,
But
okay.
he's saying he just shifts his
Yeah, he
hands.
just does it on. Yeah. I see. And so now those
Yeah.
pianos in the dueling pianos, they're usually like a keyboard that you put in like a
Yeah.
prop.
Yeah,
grand
exactly.
Piano. Is that it? Yeah, that's
That was wild the first time I saw it because like I basically just, like got to work where I was just doing like sound and lighting whatever for the show, and Colin and Jackie are just like building this wooden piano structure and then like putting a little keyboard in. I was like, I would not have guessed that's how this worked.
Yeah,
I was like,
and
I was like, where's the crew that like comes with you and sets this up?
it's really small. It is funny that like the just two piano players go
Yeah.
and like build a whole sound system. It was nice to be in that theater because we usually will bring speakers, we'll bring lights.
Right.
And so because we got to use your sound system, we didn't have to do that, and that was really nice.
Right.
nice.
But people always are like, how did you get these grand pianos in there?
Yeah.
And it's always fun because they're like, well, how did you do that?
Yeah, and the two of them were literally like with a drill at the end, just like taking it apart. I'm just like,
Taking it apart, yeah.
It's funny.
Part of the performance.
Exactly.
How
It's like-
how much of the stuff that you bring is actually yours, and how much of it is provided by the company that you're with? Like I assume
yeah.
that like the pieces for the grand piano are provided, but do you own the keyboard, or is that something that's also provided?
Yeah, all the gear is owned by the company that we work for, New York. And what's great about the guy that runs the company, Eddie, is, I mean, he has all this gear in a van ready to go. So like we load it in, it's ready for the next gig. So it's all everything. The only thing that I bring like my iPad for looking at lyrics, and like maybe a harmonica or a kazoo or something, so like that's about all I really bring.
Wow.
So like if you're just given a request mid-show and you don't know you know what the song is, but like you never played it before, but like, okay, I can probably figure that out. Do you like take a few beats to look it up, or do you just sort of like go right into it, or?
Yeah, most of the time I feel like I give myself just like I'll take my phone and I'll just stick like the speaker in my ear while I'm sitting up on stage, or I'll put in my headphones, but like
Sure.
so I don't like to fully disconnect from the show in case my partner needs me to do something.
Right.
But like I'll just try and like turn away and like listen to the intro and like be like, okay, I think I got the gist. I think we can
crazy.
do it.
But what a
if
skill that
we-
is to be adaptive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
that's
You'll
kind
just
of
improv and just be up
insane.
there. That's
It's and sometimes
good
it's like
practice.
sometimes it goes like amazing, and sometimes it's like that was fine. That was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, close
but-
enough.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? If I listen to it and I just go, "Oh, I can't do this," like the one that I got. There's a song called "Mr. Jones" by Counting Crows, and there's a guy who kept coming back to the bar and asking for it, and I was like, oh, dang it. And I would I'd listen to it and I was like, oh, these verses are weird. The rhythm is weird. And I was like, I can do other Counting Crows. So that's usually what I'll do is I'll be like, I don't know
Right.
that Killer's song, but I can do another one. I don't know that Sam Smith, but I know another one.
Right. And like,
so
are Are there requests usually like slips of paper, or they just shout it out, or?
Yeah, usually slips of paper. Sometimes in the bar scene in New York, we use Venmo, which is really awesome. So like,
Oh, that's
it pops up right on the screen. I know
like
what
a
the song
jukebox.
is, and we'll do it in New York because we're all playing for tips. Is like we'll do it in order of generosity. So if somebody
Yeah.
gives me like
Highest
somebody
bidder.
gives me
Oh,
$50,
that's
I'm like,
cool.
hey, you all have to wait because I'm playing the song. So like.
and that
That's a good way to do
and that
it.
just goes right to you, like, or does Dueling Pianos get a cut of that?
No, the company pays us to be there already, and we get to keep the tips in full. So
That's great.
we
Wow,
just split it
that's
50-50.
very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite venue that you've been to? Or played at?
Honestly,
RT.
RIT. I'm serious.
Whoa.
Really?
Sincerely?
Wow.
So a lot of times it's a party, it's a corporate party, or it's a wedding, or it's something like that, and so people are half paying attention.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, the cruise ship is really fun. They're the best audience. They're so sucked in.
Yeah.
They're like you. They're all just sitting around having a cocktail, and like
Yeah.
they love it. But in doing New York, I love the bar that I work at. It's called Bar 9, which is in Hell's Kitchen, and it's Dueling Pianos every weekend. It's so fun. But it's loud and it can be. But like when I was there, when we came, me and Jackie came, it was like, wow, everybody's so like sucked in. I was like, everybody's paying attention, and it's just the best when because I feel like I can like give more or be a better performer because like people are actually paying attention.
Totally.
So yeah, it was a really fun show.
Well, RIT students, we don't have too much going on. I mean, we're in Rochester. We have books and studying, so we're probably like
Yeah.
you
We're
come
like,
out
oh,
like,
Dueling
wow, this is
Pianos,
exciting.
This is something.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
Probably a pretty big draw. Yeah, that's nice though. So you play a lot of instruments, right?
Yeah.
I see you
I
got
do.
some behind you right
Yeah.
there. You got
I
a
do, so-
banjo. Yeah.
This
that a banjo?
the top one though. This is it is a
what is that?
guitar.
It's
Okay.
guitar. Okay.
But it's a travel guitar because
okay.
it actually fits in a
Yes.
large size carry-on, which is nice.
Wow.
So yeah, I have a banjo, obviously. On that wall over there, I have a mandolin and a regular guitar.
Nice.
Yeah, I play mostly piano's my main instrument, but I do a
Right.
lot of stringy things, electric, acoustic, mandolin, drums, bass, stuff like that, harmonicas and whistles and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many like total instruments do you play, and are you currently learning any more to try and get that?
So I say 17.
Okay.
And then people are like, list them, and I go, I forget. I had to write it in a phone, because I was just like, I don't think I can remember.
Yeah, you don't go through day-to-day life being like, all right, today I'm gonna
Yeah.
do all 17 instruments today.
yeah. But I started learning the saxophone.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay.
I bought a saxophone like a year and a half ago, and I love it. And it's a slow learn, but it's been really fun. But I haven't touched it in about like 3-6 months. So I've just been busy, and it's sad to like go put it in my closet. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love it.
Now, with Dueling Pianos, do they ever incorporate other instruments? I saw some online they had like a drum set or something like that. But you ever
Yeah,
get, like, a
drums make
guitar?
it better. Drums make
Yeah.
it better, like by far. I love the 2 pianos and a drummer. That's what we do at the bar that I work at in New York.
Nice.
We do. We basically play like a 3-4 hour show with a drummer and 2 piano players, and we don't stop.
Wow.
And it just adds so much energy. It's amazing. But people will often do the other is saxophone or violin. Those are 2 big ones that like
Really?
usually the
Violin.
player themselves. I've seen a lot of duelers that are like, yeah, I play the piano and then I'll rip the sax solo, and it's like it's crazy.
That's
Oh, it's so impressive, which is what I
you-
wanted to do when I bought the sax, but like I'm not there yet. But
You're at like hot cross buns right now. I'm kidding.
yeah, like I know like a solo or 2 from but it's like I'm not like fully proficient yet, so I would like to feel competent. So
What's that chemistry like between you, the other piano player? If you have a drummer, do you have to rehearse that? Like, how does that work?
oftentimes you don't get to. When you get to do the cruise ship, they might give you a rehearsal period, but most of the time with this bar scene, when you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be you and this girl Carol, and like, and you're like, okay, cool, we haven't met each other, and so you kind of have the time before the show to be like, what songs do you like to do? How do you like to lead a show? What do you like to? Are you more jokes? Are you more like this? Are you more that? Like, what's your style? Is it okay if I make you play a piano solo? Like, those are kind of the good like
Right.
benchmarks. Like, hey, we're doing Great Balls of Fire. Can I make you play the piano? Most of the time they'll say yes, but sometimes they'll be like, no, don't make me. So, but you don't really get much of an opportunity, and so you kind of have to be on the fly.
Right.
I feel like I do a pretty good job of being like, oh, this is your energy, because we're a team up there, and so like this is the energy that you're giving me, and so I'm gonna do my best to match it, to send you what you need, to be a helpful partner, to make a good show. But yeah, you don't get opportunity that often to like. But Jackie's somebody who I've been friends with for like a few years. So like that, she was somebody that,
That
like,
worked
I
very
did
well.
the show
Yeah.
with, and yeah, once you do that, like I have a few friends I've done this for a few years with that I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a great show. So
Right. And there's also just like a ton of coordination that was happening, because like you have like one person's playing, one person's looking through the slips of paper for the requests, one person's like getting something from the audience, and you have like one hand on the key, like that. I think without a rehearsal, it just seems like impossible to me. I don't know.
yeah, you get
a skill.
kind of accustomed to sprinkling in what they need. So when I'm with a partner, I don't have to like there's this obligation of like my hands need to be on the piano like the whole time, but they're leading the song. So basically when it's your turn to sing, you're like playing the song as if you were playing like by yourself. But then it's the other partner's job to sprinkle in the other things, because you're not a full band. There's just two of you.
Right.
And so if it's something like ABBA and they're playing, like, let's say Dancing Queen, but then you have the person that gets to go like this. They go, those like da 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 da, or whatever the strings are doing. Friday night and the lights are low. Like those little
Yeah.
So it's the other partner's job to like be the other parts of the band. So half of the job is learning the song, and then the other half is like, oh, we're doing Brown Eyed Girl. I gotta learn the like those like there's like those things that you're like, yeah, I gotta just learn those elements. But it's all about helping your partner, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, it's the accompanying part. Yeah.
Like even if you don't know the person that you're playing across from, you can kind of like assist them, even if you're like, oh well, I don't know your style, I don't know how you are as a performer. Are you Robin Williams, or are you like what do you do when you're up there? Like, so
Yeah, I
And
see.
Is there like some sort of communication that happens, like verbal, nonverbal communication? Like how do you sort of coordinate that live with them? Like, oh, I'm gonna play the main part, you're gonna do the little sprinkles, you know?
yeah, I think so. So the great thing that the first guy that ever like taught me how to do this job was, he was basically like, you're when you're leading a song, when it's like you're singing, you're playing the bottom half of the piano. And that means your partner is going to be playing the top half of their piano. So that you're not like muddling on top of each other and it just sounds kind of sloppy, because you don't need to be playing the exact same note at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
But then he was like, let's break it down even further. So the furthest down act like, so if we looked at a keyboard, a piano like keys, and we broke it into 4 pieces, the bottom is your bass and drums. Okay. The second section is like your piano, your background guitar, your like the meat of the song.
Sure.
The higher up one is your like guitar solos, your like vibraphones or your, you know, those types of things. And then the top quarter is like strings or like, strings or other things like that. And so they were like, if you can like use each section to be an instrument, you'll let your partner be the bass and drums on the bottom because they're singing the song. And then you'll get to be the guitar solo and this or the whatever on top. If that does that kind of make sense?
So you're always in different sections, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, you try to be, but then I find that sometimes I'll play with somebody I've never played with before, and they will just follow my hands. They'll just be right on top of me, and I'm like, stop, get off me.
Yeah, I see.
But it's always like just a piano sound, or do you ever change the sounds of the keyboard?
Sometimes I will if it's right. Like Dancing in the Moonlight has like a electric piano, and it's like really 70s. Or I'll make it kind of synthy for like Dancing Queen or something. So sometimes I'll do that. But most of the time we'll leave it on piano just because.
And can you make it more literal with the separation? Like, could you actually make the bottom quarter of the piano certain instrument or type? And then
I bet you could with certain keyboards, depending on how smart the keyboard is. I think the one that we used when we came up, me and Jackie, I think those ones have that function, but I've never really needed to use it. But like, it makes sense that you could totally split it and like have strings on your right hand and like piano on your left hand. That'd be pretty cool.
I actually have a fun fact with that. So Wesley, who's the kid who did our intro music, played Pit, like keyboard Pit, for our not like, I mean, it was for our high school.
No, that's awesome.
Musicals, but so we used MainStage. That was like the software, and what it can do is you can set up. Okay, I want the bottom half to be this sound, the top to be this sound. But then what it'll do is it'll adapt. So like if you're playing a melody on your left hand, even if you go into that section on the right, because it detects that's the same melody, it'll shift the region to adapt.
Yes.
So like that's just super cool.
That's really fun.
It is really cool. The actual keyboard that I have does something similar where the backing accompaniment will follow your left hand, which is so crazy. Like it's so smart that it can tell what chords you're playing and move the music around with. It's so crazy. Yeah. That type of science, that technology is just getting better and better.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of your acting.
Yeah. So I went to school for like musical theater.
Right.
And it was funny because it was less that I like the like dancey razzle dazzle part of like, but it was more like I like music and I like acting. Which so right now I'm doing kind of the more music side of like the piano stuff. But I've done a lot of Broadway callbacks, and it's I think it is the life of a New York actor of getting callbacks for things and you know, not getting them. But when I had just graduated college, have you heard of the Broadway show Dear Evan Hansen?
Yeah.
Yes.
So when I first was like, I was in my senior year of college, and I went to a open call where basically it's anybody can show up. And it's the whole day, and they see like hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And if they really loved you, they'll ask you to come back and do a callback. And but back then I had like 4 rounds of callbacks for the national tour of Dear Evan Hansen.
That's crazy.
And it was they were like, we're considering you for, do you know what an understudy is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were considering me for the understudy of Evan Hansen.
Whoa.
And they were like,
That's sick.
but I had just been sending them videos. And so they were like,
Yeah.
we can't cast you if we've never met you.
Right.
So you need to come in person to New York. And I didn't live here at the time. And I was like, yeah, I'll come. And then that was January of 2020. And so, yeah. And so it was like, it never happened. And,
No.
and now they only cast like 16-year-olds as Evan Hansen nowadays. So
What? Really?
yeah, they're super young. But I've
They're
had a
like
few.
crazy.
It is crazy. Like the kid, the first kid that was a replacement, he was like 16 or 17,
Wow.
Interesting.
and they've been doing that ever since. But I've had some callbacks for I had a callback for the Harry Potter play on Broadway.
Cursed Child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. But like that's kind of half the gig is submitting for things and getting close. And
Right.
I just did an agency workshop like 2 weeks ago, and so hopefully I'm gonna get some representation, which is really nice to have somebody that's like they can put you in the room instead of you having to show up
Right.
at 6
Yeah.
a.m. to get in
Yeah.
line to maybe not be seen.
Yeah, that's
Gotcha.
So, but
Yeah, that's nice though.
yeah, those are the two worlds that I think that I live in is the music side of the piano and the instruments and writing music, and then acting. And so yeah, I have more callback stuff to do in the next few weeks, and so like you do that all the time. Well, but I'm fortunate that I can make a living just playing piano and not have
That's
to
nice.
have like a safety job.
Right.
Sure.
That's through Dueling Pianos.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I feel very lucky that I still get to perform as my job. But yeah, acting is hard to break into, and so
Yeah.
it's been an
My-
interesting thing.
My cousin is actually in New York right now. He graduated from Coastal Carolina University
Oh, yeah.
in musical theater, and he's going through audition process. He has like an agency. He constantly keeps me updated about like, oh, I'm going to like audition for this thing. Like it's gonna be here. It's like I'm like, great man. I hope you get it. It's pretty cool.
That's so awesome. Yeah, Coastal Carolina is great. Yeah, I was one of the schools I was gonna audition for when I was picking schools to get into. That's so fun.
So, like, let's say, there's a performer who doesn't have the Dueling Pianos safety net, and they're just sort of like
Yeah.
auditioning for stuff, can't get it.
Yeah.
Like, do people just do, maybe like off Broadway stuff, or
Yeah. What my it's yeah, because I'm lucky that I get to do the dueling piano stuff. I mean, it pays for live performance. It pays can pay really well. But I have a friend, my closest friend. He's also an actor, and but right now he works at the cool. There's a really cool Starbucks in the Empire State Building that's like a roastery. Okay. So it's like a really fancy like coffee cocktail Starbucks. Like it's really fancy. But he's working but he was like, yeah, I'm a barista, and he's like, I don't want to be doing that forever. But while he's we're trying to, right now in the industry, this specific industry, and I can't speak for other ones, is that right now it's really hard to get in the door. For an audition for whatever, unless you do have an agent or something that might be able to give you some leverage. And everything is now virtual. So they don't even see people in person anymore. They just ask you to send a video. And then if they liked your video, they'll ask you to come in person. Which just makes it harder for them to recognize you as a person, because half of the job is, do they like working with you as much as you're talented? Like, and they're not going to get a sense of the person that you are from a video. They kind of can, maybe, but most of the time when you get to work with them in the room and they're considering hiring you, most of the time they're like, oh, I love this guy. I want to cast this guy in a heartbeat because he's so easy to work with.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like a lot of auditioning is like directors saying, oh, do this differently, and like seeing how the person will respond to that and how they can adapt. So on a video,
Absolutely.
you don't have that.
Yeah, so getting past that is really tough. But what people have been, advocating is creating your own work. Is that, if you're not going to get the job, make the job. So we really, I have an immense amount of film gear. And so we're like, let's shoot short films. Let's put them in film festivals. Let's try to get connected with some people. Let's do some networking. Let's try and do as much as we can on our side, because people aren't, if we can't get in the door, we're never, going to be on that side of it, Not saying that it won't happen, but a lot of people shoot their shot and don't get it, So it's about creating your own business, essentially.
Well, yeah, I'd imagine auditioning with the sending videos in, you have a lot more competition. Because you're like, in the past, you can geographically go to where the auditions are, but now anyone, anywhere can send them in. I don't know. That's huge.
It is crazy. And there's just whole websites that are dedicated to casting calls where they just go, hey, we are looking for this theater in Omaha, Nebraska and it's like it pops up and you can just send them a video. Or hey, we're casting for the Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. And it's like, okay.
Everything mixed together.
It's like, and you send your video but how many people are on that website? How many people are on, it's called Actors Access or Playbill, these websites that post auditions. Yeah, it's tough.
I feel like that would make me go crazy as if I were an actor, because anytime I have to send in a video, I'll do 100 takes because
you're a perfectionist.
Each one isn't good enough. So I feel like it'd almost be harder as the actor to I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it with because I live in an artist community, and so I've seen it with my friends where some of them are like, yeah, I'm done. I'm ready to just make money. And I'm like, that's okay. I don't whatever your career path is, great. But it is that thing. My even my girlfriend, she's also a performer, and she was just like, it just feels so far away right now, because I feel like I send these videos and I just feel like I'm getting no traction, and it's tough. It is kind of soul crushing to be I've spent, a year or two auditioning and not getting anything, not hearing anything. And it's not about your talent often. It's about, are you right for it? They're like, oh, that guy's 5'9" and you're 5'10". We want the 5'9" guy. Sorry.
Interesting.
That's
super
it can be
superficial
that
things.
Yeah, it can be they did Back to the Future on Broadway.
I love that show, actually.
It was such a fun show. Fun. The guy who played Marty was a great impression. He had a great impression of Michael J. Fox. But with the casting call, you cannot be, I think, above 5'9" for that role. But sometimes it's the other way, where it's you must be 5'11", must be 6'1", must be 5'4", whatever. But that's one example of walking in the room, let alone your hair color, let alone your voice, let alone whatever. There's so many things that they're just not quite right for the role.
And imagine connections are a big part of it too. Right? It must
absolutely.
be who if you're in the network.
I had that experience when I went and did this agent workshop. One of the guys that was there, it was amazing. He was so awesome. He was so friendly. This guy who works for he's a casting director. So he is the guy who actually casts Broadway shows. He's and so getting up and performing in front of him and doing a workshop is scary. But he was super friendly, and he was just we got really personal, and he was like, yeah, I've found this community and I've been really happy about it. And he we connected personally. It wasn't just about give me a job. And
Right.
that, to me, those are the moments that matter most, not just in this industry, but in any industry, is like, I'm not trying to just get a job from you. I also want to connect with you as a person. Because
totally.
they want to know that they can work with you. They want to know that you're a nice guy. And that's, I think, half, if not more, of like what they want, like an awesome person to work with, you know? So yeah,
And
it is
these
about
workshops. These workshops, is this kind of like you're auditioning to get an agent? Is that?
Yeah. This specific workshop, they had a few theaters were there for, like the summer stock theater where they'll like cast you in their season. But a lot of them were, a bunch of different agencies that are based out of New York. And yeah, some of them, I bet some people just right off the bat got signed.
Yeah,
Where they were like, "Hey, I really like what you do. Here's my card. Let's be in touch." And for me, there, like personally, my experience of that, there's one agency that I really want to do, that I really love, and I have a friend who is represented by them. And so the goal there is like, hey, let's find this mutual thing instead of me being some random guy emailing you. So my friend who's represented, I'm like, hey, can you refer me? Can you and be like, hey, give this guy a shot, check out his videos, his material, and like see if he's something that you would want to represent. And then more than likely they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I'll check him out. And so it's about connections, about your friends, it's about relationships in the room. It's so important.
And if you get to know these casting directors, then if something does come along that they feel suits you, they'll reach out.
They said that when we were there this weekend. They were like, we put thumbtacks in people. We go, oh, they were really good. They're not right for this, but they were really good. And
Remember you. Yeah.
they do. And like those moments are important. They're so important.
You know, all this is reminding me of actually applying for like technical and engineering jobs, because it's a
Yeah.
lot of the same thing where now that it's all on the internet, you just have to spam hundreds of applications, and a lot of it now is just when you have interviews, it's about whether they like you or if you have good connections, and that's
Yeah.
becoming a lot of it. I think a lot of hiring and in general right now is becoming that, which is really
It's
interesting.
really remote. It's which
remote.
you just kind of have to figure out how to cheat, you know, like how do you
How to
do
game
you
the
go
system.
around it? Like,
Yeah.
look, so for me, let's say the website is Actors Access, and I have sent. What if I've sent 50 things in the last like 2 months, and I've gotten nothing? Okay, so that doesn't work
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else got a job from that, but okay, so what else can I do? Like, can I go and like meet these people? And that was this last weekend, was me being like, I'm frustrated. I want to be in front of people.
Yeah.
And I think you have to figure out how to do that. Another thing is learning what people like. I think that's super important, is like, do your research on a person that you're trying to work with, learn everything about them, because like one of the guys, because there's a lot of musicals nowadays that are what we call jukebox musicals, where they have, a lot of pop songs in them. So they might have like "Shut Up and Dance" by friggin' who's that?
Walk
the Moon.
Walk
Yeah.
the Moon, yeah.
Like, but we were working with a guy, and he was like, when I'm casting a pop rock musical, don't act, be a rock star.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but that's just that one guy's opinion. Does it mean that it's right for? No, but what I'm remembering is I'm going, okay, if I'm in the room with this guy and I have to sing Freddie Mercury or David Bowie or something, don't act it. Just be a rock star. Just like stand there like you're on it, like, because that's what he likes.
Yeah.
And so like, like that's as much as and maybe I should use that for other auditions, but like this, I know, okay, this guy likes this thing.
Yeah. You got to cater it.
Yeah, it kind of goes both ways with like you remember what they like and they remember what you're like, so that like
That's
if
a
you
good
see
point,
them,
yeah.
you can be like, oh, this person likes me acting like a rock star, and if they see you, they're like, oh, this person can act like a rock star.
Yeah.
Do you think it's becoming harder to get roles because there are just the pool is bigger, like because now that it's things are online, there's way more applicants, or do you think like the demand is going down?
And I think it's hard. And the agents that I work with this weekend, they were like, yeah, it's harder than ever now. It's harder than ever than it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago. One of the things that I'm sure this is every industry, but there's like a backlog of people because of COVID, where like maybe somebody who would have gotten the internship or the entry-level opportunity just out of college didn't get that opportunity. And so now they're 2 years, 3 years later, and now there's 3 years of kids going for that same entry-level opportunity.
Yeah.
And so that's something that like I was like, that's not acting though. And they were like, no, yeah. They want to see some things on your resume before you go do Broadway. And so like they want to see that you've worked at other theaters and, maybe done a contract overseas or whatever. Like just they want to see that you've done stuff. And it's like, well, now there's 3 years of people fighting for that,
Right.
So I do think it's harder. But I just think it's different. And I think you have to figure out how to do it. I have friends they're songwriters, and I think that there was a way to do songwriting 5-10 years ago. And now, at least, in the last few years, it's been TikTok. And like that's the way to break in as a songwriter is people blow up on social media. And they're like, I don't want to do social media. I don't want to be a TikTok sound for my song. But that's how things like adapt, things change, and like right now it's like everything's virtual. How can you fight against that? How can you break out of that?
Yeah.
Well, and I know Spotify kind of took all the money out of music.
Yeah.
Kind of, right? Like the only way to make money in music now, I think, is to like do live performances. Seems like, right?
Why did Spotify take them?
Because you don't make nearly as much as selling like records or selling albums.
Interesting.
As far as I'm aware, at least.
No,
like,
yeah,
it's much harder.
They've changed their whole system, where, which I mean, YouTube did a similar thing where it used to be like per views, and then they changed it to like per minute.
Okay.
But Spotify now is like, the CEO said himself, he was like, I'd rather you pump out more content, like more quantity than quality.
Yeah.
Because in theory, if you have 50 songs on Spotify and you're getting a little stream over 50, you're making more money than like one song getting streamed a lot.
Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, but like the CEO himself was like, make more music. Like, and it was like, because and they don't pay as much. They pay by like the second. So that's, yeah.
Dang.
So you talked about kind of carving out your own stuff, and you said you're making films maybe, like for like film festivals and stuff. Have you made any? What has that been like?
Yeah, so I have a bunch of projects that we've done that have been like, cool, we did this, and we have epic, sent it out or had recognition or whatever. But like right now I'm working on a short film with my friend, and I shot it, and my friend is in it, and then we edited it together, and now I'm scoring it. So we've really done all of the elements of it. Like,
Okay.
and so the goal is to take it to film festivals. And again, film festivals, you get you win the film festival or you get an award, cool. But like sometimes it doesn't really mean anything unless it's Sundance or something. Like, or there's a few at like Tribeca is a pretty big one too. But we're trying to like build a network of people because we want to do slowly build to bigger projects and try to do, like, if we're not getting film acting roles that we want, if we're submitting for them, then let's like make a movie. Let's actually shoot it professionally. Let's get a large budget together and let's get a crew that's professional and let's like make it happen. So we're finishing the short film that we're doing right now, and we're both writing feature films to get like 2 separate ones, and slowly working towards trying to go from some short films to a feature-length film to try and get funding for it. And sometimes if it's successful enough, you can get like Amazon or Netflix to buy it.
That's awesome.
That's
Well, I wonder, can you do like crowdfunding, or can you get like investors?
Absolutely.
Like people can invest in this stuff, right?
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the goal, is to be like, hey, this is the project, this is the idea.
Yeah.
We've done. I've seen people do like just a GoFundMe to make a movie, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but like, finding like bigger donors is a really awesome opportunity to like
Right.
create. And so, creating your own art is, if you're not gonna be put in someone else's, to create it, and then people go, wow, that's really cool. But I think that's the case I don't think it's just art, but yeah.
Do you only do live action, or do you also do like animation or stuff like that?
I would love to do animation. I think it would be so fun. I did it a lot in high school, and it was so fun. And but the short film that we shot is just like a silent film, and it's fun, and it's one that you'd watch and you'd go, oh, I could see this as a Pixar short. Like you could I could see this as like an animated. But I would love to do stop motion. I think it's so cool. I'm obsessed with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio that just came out last year. It's really cool.
That was all stop motion.
Yeah.
I keep it's on my docket to watch. I just like stuff just keeps coming up, and I just keep meaning to watch it, but I never.
Yeah, it's a cool one. It's a really cool one. I recommend it.
Well, voice acting also seems really fun.
Oh,
Doing
yeah.
that side of it. Although I wonder, like, I feel like when I see a lot of animated things, I feel like a couple voice actors do everything.
It's true. There's a lot of like the same like people.
Weird.
But it's a similar thing where it's like I'm in a
Yeah.
community now, and they know me, and networking and all
Sure.
that stuff. A lot of voice actors are in Texas. There's like a
Really?
huge voice acting facility in I
that's
think the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Okay.
Texas is not the place where I.
Yeah, I wouldn't have pictured that.
yeah. Like
You
they're
typically
doing
think that counts.
they're doing dubs for Japanese stuff, and and they're doing it all in Texas. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, my sister loves to do voice acting, and she wants to like be in that world, and it's really cool. But yeah, it is another like network of people. The way kind of like dueling is a small bubble, or like like
Totally.
voice acting. There's kind of a small bubble of people who do a lot of the same stuff.
Interesting.
Are you allowed to share what this short film you're working on is about?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so my best friend Jeremy, he's a mime. He in real life.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So he was like raised by like mime parents. It's really funny. It feels like it needs to be like a movie or something. It's a really
Mime
great
family.
like a mime family he had a really quiet childhood.
Does he talk in real life?
Yes, for sure. He is a very talkative guy.
not in
You
character
see him
all
going
the
down
time.
the street, and he's going like,
Yeah, everything he does, he's just like pantomiming everything. But so the concept of this short film, he's a very physical person, and so the concept really sells when you see him do it, because he's basically the alarm goes off in the morning, and his hands wake up, but he does not. And so his hands are trying to wake him up, get him dressed. And so he's fully like, with like, he's got like his hands are like puppeting him.
Yeah.
Hands are like the brain.
Yeah. And
you
it's
just
so,
kinda-
it's
yeah.
very,
Like,
it's very entertaining.
I can
It's
see
like
that.
the thing from the Addams Family.
Oh
With the
yeah,
hand.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
shots where you see the hand like crawl
Yeah.
across
Okay.
his shoulder or whatever. Yeah,
that's
it's
fun, though.
really really fun.
That's great.
that's fun.
Did you put that in your cinematography reel? Because I just watched it, and I think I know like exactly the shot.
Oh, is there? I might have ended up putting a few clips in there.
I
That's
think you
funny.
did, because like what you just described with like waking up, hand crawling is like totally what I just watched. Like we were
Yeah.
we were doing some research before this. and
Yeah.
it
I'm
was
so
awesome.
glad you. It's funny. Was that from my website?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like currently, I'm reconstructing it, but.
By the
Well,
way, for the listeners, go to colinhodgkin.com and check out
Yeah.
Colin's stuff.
Yeah,
I
we looked
do
at
have
it.
footage from. I'm looking at it right now. I was like, I do have footage of him waking up and like, yeah, the alarm clock and stuff. So yeah. And I have more footage. It's funny. A lot of this stuff, I'm like, oh, it's a little dated. I have more footage that I can't post because it's like being edited or being,
Sure.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, we noticed. We looked at your website like a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, and then looked at it again like a week ago, and again today, and it just keeps changing.
Yeah, 'cause
Live
I've been
updating.
working on the self-tape
it's
part of my website. So yeah, just reconstructing a bunch of
Yeah,
stuff.
that's smart.
So what is the self-tape room?
So I oftentimes in New York, I feel like space is obviously a hot commodity, but in the city, there's I feel fortunate in my apartment to have a complete extra room that I just have as like a studio space.
Yeah.
And I have backdrops for actors. I have a lot of different lighting options. I have a camera that you can use. I have all these different things. And so I was like, well, it's expensive to rent a space in New York. And oftentimes when you rent a space, they don't even have lights. Like it's just like a empty dance studio or with fluorescent lights, And so I wanted to be like, here's a cheap option for actors there's lights in the room, there's a backdrop in the room, you can rent this space for filming yourself if you need something a little better than filming on your iPhone against a white wall in your kitchen, So I think it's a fun I'm building it up right now. It's like trying to but it's trying to be a small business that I can run while also still performing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna let people. I have all the instruments. So like a lot of people, they're like, "Yeah, I have a callback for a show. I need to play a guitar. I don't have a guitar."
Gotcha.
And I'm like, "Yeah, you can come and rent the guitar, or you can be in the self-tape room, or you can rent the piano, or you can use my sound system if you need to record like some high quality audio." So yeah, it's a new development for me that I'm trying to incorporate into my life.
And having rooms like this in general, where people can go and they have lights and instruments and stuff, is that fairly niche? Is that like
It is. I think the lighting specifically is niche. I don't know if there's anywhere. I don't know if there's
Makes it
anywhere in New
appealing?
York that you can do that.
it's pretty nice then?
Yeah. There's places that there's a lot of for band use. There are rehearsal studios where you can like rent a studio for like $30-$40 and rent the instruments to rehearse with your band. And so that type of space exists, and I do that because I'm in a few bands of people who are producing their own original music. So, but that experience is like mostly just to rehearse. But to have a space with a nice backdrop and film lighting is most people have like a ring light, which is great, and I totally encourage the self-tape, but the goal is to be able to like help people film something that they don't. Oh, and also like I can make people backing tracks, like instrumental tracks, or sheet music, and so there's a lot of like things that I'm offering.
Right.
So like, which I have a feeling most of the people will end up just wanting tracks and sheet music, but the room itself I think is a pretty fun thing, and I don't know if it exists anywhere.
I haven't heard of it anywhere else. Like, I know my cousin, he uses a ring light to send in his self-tapes. I have like sometimes looked around if I'm recording something. I'm like, oh, I don't really want to use my phone, but I've never found a place that's like dedicated for like self-tapes.
Yeah, and I want it to be cheap too. Like obviously I want to make money, but as soon as it gets to a certain price point, it doesn't become worth it because again, you send a lot of videos as an actor, and so it's got to be cheap because if every time you're, for one that's worthwhile for you, if you need to record with an instrument or an accompanist or something like. I think it's still very cheap in comparison to a lot of things.
And like, how has that process been to, start your own business? Like, have you had any experience with that in the past, or are you sort of learning it now?
Yeah, I'm kind of learning it now, and I'm fortunate that I have a strong background in editing and filmmaking, that it's easy for me to create my own commercials and content, which I am making more of, and I will be trying to release all the time. But yeah, I've never made like a business Instagram or a business Facebook before, and so that's an interesting experience, and I feel like I need to learn a lot more. I think there's a lot of YouTube videos that I need to watch of people being like, this is what you should set up before you do all these things, or here's a way to reach the right clientele. Here's like, you know, there's a lot of backlog work that I need to do before I. But it's getting to a close point where I can start having people come and record.
Okay, so it's not open quite yet.
I've had a few people reach out to me that want to record some stuff, and so I've already actually made a few backing tracks for people, which is awesome, and I've made one or two sheet music for people, and so like that's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like if it's like a photographer will like edit photos after they're done with a wedding, it feels like that to me. Where I'm like, yeah, just sit at my computer and like make a little track for you and send it to you, and
Okay.
So yeah.
So are most people in this space involved in like just a ton of different projects? Because it seems like you're in like a bunch of different directions. Like, is that kind of what you have to do to make it in the?
I don't know if it's the case for everybody. I don't think so. I think that's something that they encourage, is to recognize that, like, I've seen a lot of people. They're like, I do headshots. They're like, I do professional actor photography. As a side gig, as being an actor. Or they'll do, I mean, for me, I'm the guy that plays instruments at a bar, you know, like, and so they always are like, you need to diversify yourself as a performer, because if you are just a straight actor, you don't sing, you don't dance, you don't play an instrument, you don't, like, there's a lot of skills, circus stuff. There's all these things that like people can do, and like, so if you're just a straight actor, it's just a smaller, keyhole for you to fit through.
Sure.
So I think I'm very specific. I also, it's that thing of the jack of all trades, master of none. It can feel that way sometimes, where it's like, oh, I do a lot of stuff, and am I the number one in all these things? Maybe not, but like, I think I'm very specific, and my roommate, who's an actor and also does film stuff, but I think people try to do maybe one or two things, but I do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of stuff.
If you had to pick one thing to continue doing and you had to drop everything else, what would you pick?
Ooh, I would probably want to do more film work.
Yeah.
I love being in front of the camera, but I also love being behind the camera. I'm a little controlling with the camera. I've found doing projects, I'm like, I know you're good behind the camera, but I'm
better.
I just trust myself, like I trust myself more than like somebody else. And so I've recognized that that's something for me where I'm like, okay, I gotta find people that I want to work with, that I trust behind the camera, so that I don't feel obligated to always be behind the camera. But I love it. I love directing. Being a cinematographer makes me so happy. So I think that world is where I want to live. But right now it's Broadway auditions. It's that type of thing, because that's the place that I live, and it makes sense but I think I would choose film. But I love playing piano so much. It's my favorite.
Did you direct the Heaven on the Seventh Floor music video? I thought it was really fun. That was
awesome.
A good one.
We watched that before
Thanks.
this call. It was really great.
Thank you. That was so... I just found that song riding in the car one day. It came on the radio, and I was like, this is awesome. And back then, it wasn't on Spotify. It wasn't on anything. It was just on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And now it's on Spotify. That song is back out. But I basically just did a lip sync video. But it was such a fun off the cuff project. I got all
Yeah.
these people together. Most of the time acting school, I find the days are really long and really
Yeah.
like you'll dance at 8:30 and you finish your school at 5, and then maybe you're in a play which starts at 6, and then that's till 10, and then if you're doing your own like student-led projects, it's 10 to midnight. And so we shot that music video at 1 in the morning, because it was the only time everybody was available.
Jeez.
Wow.
And I had no plan for what the story was, for what the lyrics are there in the song, and so you kind of can. But like I was like, I know I want to do the wedding part where they're like they fall in
Right.
love in
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
elevator.
Yeah.
I know that there's a phone. And he answers the phone from the like. I was like, but there were like so many
yeah.
parts of the music video that we got there, and I looked at the people that I had gotten for this video, and I was like, I don't know what we're about to do, but it's gonna be fun, and it was a blast. I was actually hanging out with several of those people from that video last night, which is really funny.
Nice.
The girls specifically, we went to like a ping pong bar.
Ping
And it
pong
was so
bar.
much fun. But yeah, so I'm glad, and it kind of blew up on YouTube a little
Yeah.
bit, like
Yeah.
for a niche '70s
I
song.
think
It's
it's like
got like
200,000 views.
yeah,
or-
yeah. I think it's like
pretty
something
legit.
like that. But yeah, it's really fun. I love it. I love that.
How long
video.
did it take you to film that whole thing?
We did it in one night. We did it in like maybe 2 hours, maybe 2 or 3
wow.
hours.
That's
I was gonna
Yeah,
say like
that's-
5. Yeah. Okay.
It
Was the
best-
elevator in it like a set, or did you just
So so
they built it.
I went to
Well,
a,
no,
so the
you
school
never
that I
know.
went to is Wright State in Dayton, Ohio, and it was built in the '70s, and so I scoured the campus looking for an old elevator,
Yeah.
and I like looked and there are they've renovated all the elevators to be up to
Sure.
really, and I was walking down this hallway and I opened the elevator and I was like, oh. That's
Here
it.
it is.
That's the elevator. That's it. It's so like I didn't do any lighting. Like I
Really?
didn't like I usually
pretty
feel like
nice.
I have lighting or sound, and like the lights the fluorescent lights above is all the lighting I had. And
I think
it
it
was
worked, though.
and
Yeah,
it
it
looks
did.
great. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we shot that in maybe 2 to 3 hours, probably closer to 3. And then I think I edited it within like a week or 2, and then like it was done. Which is a bummer because now I feel so lazy. Any project that we have, I'm like, oh, it's been like 9 months, and like, but like
It's the creative process.
yeah, exactly.
And like you didn't pay any of those people, right? They're just your friends, or
Yeah, that was a college favor situation where like
Yeah.
we all are making art, and we're all working together, and we're all have projects. We all want to be in each other's projects. So like that was the situation. But I try to be good about that stuff. And obviously if there's no budget, then like it's not much. But
Yeah.
with that one, it was like, thank you guys, I'm gonna order you pizza. Like it was
yeah, totally.
like a business party. But
But hey, college pizza, that's payment enough.
yeah.
So yeah, we were stalking your Instagram before this.
Hold on. Let's just say Liam was stalking.
Well, we were
Liam.
for inspiration, of course.
Okay, yeah.
And we noticed you travel a lot. At least it looks like.
I have traveled a lot. Most of it was with the cruise ship, which was really
Yeah, that explains.
right out of college. It was the first thing I did, and I went to like the Mediterranean, and it was amazing. And I've been but the one I'm doing in theory in a week is in Florida, so it's not the most exciting, but like the Caribbean is still really cool. But like.
Yeah.
With that, you get to see some pretty cool stuff. I've been to Alaska. I've been to Hawaii. I've been to Italy and Spain and Greece and Gibraltar. I've been to the furthest north tip of Africa, which is really cool. So like, there's a lot of. I feel very lucky that I've gotten to travel as much as I have. But that's mostly that. I feel like,
Yeah, I see.
so
Did
it
you
can
get to-
look like I've been all over.
Have you performed in any of these places? Like, could
No.
that be I can't imagine doing like dueling piano and it's like in a different
Yeah,
language
I was
and they're
about to
asking for
ask.
songs you've never heard of. I don't know. That'd be,
Yeah.
I don't think that'd work too well. But
most of the clientele are still like middle-aged to retired, like tourists. So a lot of people from the UK and a lot of people from America and a lot of people from Australia. Big cruisers. And so you might get a bit of a mix. I had this British guy who was like, "Do you know Gilbert O'Sullivan?" And I was like, no, but like I didn't learn it for them. But like, most of it's the same. They like, I want "Don't Stop Believin'." I want. They're like, "Do you know any Harry Chapin?" And I'm like, "Sure, I can do some Harry Chapin."
I was gonna ask, like, with these cruise ships, you said you go to Italy. Does like some old Italian couple come on, see you doing dueling pianos, and like, do you know this like one really niche Italian song?
Italian opera.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That stuff happens, but most of the time, the people who sometimes most of the times they're English speaking, like normal, like American or somewhere from the UK, somewhere from Europe. That speak English, and so like.
I mean, yeah.
But sometimes it is that they're like, "Do you know like, do you know Pavlova's second?" Like, and I'm like, "Pavlova's second? No, I don't know that."
I don't know his
maybe
first.
Pavlova's first.
I didn't even know his
Second,
first.
that's a little much.
Don't even ask about the third.
Yeah,
So-
but it's the same deal. Where it's like, if I don't know it, I don't know it. So
Right. And so when you did the dueling piano show at RIT, it was a pretty like, big finale, right? You're like Piano Man, you were playing on the harmonica, like that was great. Is that always how you end it, or does it depend? Or
it depends. The guy who runs New York Dueling Pianos, his preference is if we will usually get a request for Piano Man or Let It Be. I mean, no, Hey Jude or Don't Stop Believing. Like those ones usually get requested. And so his mentality is hold it. Just take that one, set it off to the side.
yeah,
And then when it gets to the last song, it's best to end with that instead of like some like really sad song. Like, so like he's like,
Totally.
but what I love doing in the bar in New York is we'll be like, okay, it's midnight. We gotta be done. We've been playing for 3.5 hours. But here's the deal. I got $20 right now. This is my last song. I got $20 for Careless Whisper, George Michael. If you want to end with this song, great. That's what's going to happen. If you have more than $20, you can stop this song and you can have the last song of the show. And so we'll be like, we didn't play any Katy Perry. We didn't play any Michael Jackson. We didn't play any, and we'll list off some artists. And then we go, okay, but anyway, here's Careless Whisper. And then usually somebody will be like $21 or $22. They'll be, stop. Like, I want to hear Genesis. I'm like, oh, okay. And then so we'll play part of a Genesis song, and then somebody's like, no. And like, so that'll end up being a fun way to like just make a little extra money at the end. But also it's a fun way to end the show because it's like, what's going to be the last song? What's going to be, so like, we might end with something weird. We might end with like Pompeii by Avicii or just, some weird, like, it's like, and like, I love always telling people, I'm like, I've never ended with this one, but I guess we're gonna. So like, but yeah,
And then right at the
most
moment,
of the time
stop. $23.
You can make it a bidding war.
Careless
has
Whisper.
happened.
Back to Careless Whisper.
they can do that, and we'll literally be like wrapping it up. We'll be like, have a good night, everybody. Bye. Thank you so much. Tip your waits to. Oh, shit. Okay. And then they'll like hand you like $30, and it was like, all right, we'll do one more. All right. Yeah, it's fun.
I'm curious, like, you have a lot of jokes sort of weaved in. There's like, it's the show is very interactive. You have little lines here and there. Is that, kind of like you're improvising off the cuff? Do you have some things in your back pocket? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, both. A lot of back pocket stuff. There's a lot of oh man, there's a lot of bits that like I see other people do, and so like I do them. Like when it's like Sweet Caroline, and it's like hands touching hands, reaching out, touching, and like it's like get your hands up in the air, like that's all we do that every time, and but it's still fun, and it's like touching me, touching you, please don't touch me, sweet, like little jokes like that. Those like happen.
Perfect.
Those happen, and like those things are like scripted, but a lot of the stuff is usually when the audience does something weird, and we comment on it. There was a show I did, and I was singing "Baby Got Back," and this guy had a fake fro on, and he was like up in the front dancing with this fro, and like it was clearly a fake fro, and then his fro fell off and hit the ground. And I stopped the music, and I was like, that was fake this whole time? Oh, no. And we were like, I didn't even know. And we like, God, did you guys know? Like, I thought that was your... And like, we like stopped the song. And it was like so
That's
stupid,
hilarious.
but they were all laughing, and it's super...
Yeah.
And then we just went right back into little in the middle, but you got much back. And it was like right back in. So like those types of moments happen where somebody does something silly, or they're like, it's my birthday. And I'm like, it's your birthday. Let's do a whole weird thing about your birthday.
Yeah.
So
fun,
it's a mix of both.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, we're going on about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, anything else, you want to share, whether it's one of your, like, I don't know, any wisdom, your projects, whatever, like, final...
Oh, no. No, this is just fun. I feel like I don't...
Yeah.
This is just... I feel like this is an opportunity for me to, like, self-reflect. And I don't feel like I get that opportunity as often. So it is kind of fun to just be like, yeah, let's just, like, talk about it and, like, see how my opinions are about these things. So, but, yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it's been really fun.
I have a proposition.
Yeah.
Do you want to send this podcast off with like the last few bars of Piano Man, or a song of your choice? Do you think that would fit?
Oh man. I can't think of anything good. It's all bad. I'm not good at the piano, by the way.
Oh, so it was you're just faking it. It actually is all pre-recorded.
Yeah.
It is. We just hit play, like on just a little button. That was one of my favorite things. There was a show that I was doing, and these people kept coming up behind me and just were doing like a lean over just to like see if I was actually playing the piano. And they're like, all right, he's actually playing. Okay. All right.
That is funny.
I was like, what? Like, what? Could you imagine like me coming all the way out here and just being like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what I'm doing.
That'd be more impressive, like being able to mime that and like have like the one hand on, like and match it perfectly. Like.
A lot of rehearsal.
Oh, this is my favorite song to do. There you go.
Well,
Nice.
thank you.
Very
What
nice.
a great send off.
Could you hear it or not?
It's been great having you on. It's been great talking with
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
I think it's been just fantastic. You're a really funny person.
Yes. Yeah. This was.
You guys
this
are
was
awesome.
a
I
great
love
podcast.
chatting with you.
Yeah. Thanks so much. If you
Thanks
ever
for
wanna,
having me.
Do a part 2, let us know. But
Oh, yeah, it would be
best of
so
luck
fun.
with all the projects. We are looking forward to seeing the short film that comes
Yeah,
out
looking forward to that.
and all that stuff.
Heck yeah. Thanks so much.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
well, thank you,
Thank you.
Colin.